All right. Hi, everybody. This is Boss Talks, episode 53. I'm your host, Evan Happel with Community Boss. We have a great show today. Savannah Wheeler. She's out of Colorado and she's got a startup. It's only been 8 months, but she's hitting the ground running. Her and her team are scrappy. They're getting things done. And I'm excited to learn more about their solution with, let's see, it's called, I'm going to mess it up, Apartment Snapshot. And it's a great solution she has a background in finance. So it's a great solution of getting all that data together to tell the appropriate story for your apartment communities so that you can better utilize all that data that we know is there and valuable, but who knows what it means. Well, she does a great job of putting it together so that we can have a better idea of what it means. She's been in the real estate industry for around 20 years, directly in multifamily since 2008. And she was just telling me, so she grew up in hospitality, getting exposure to real estate through her parents. So she really learned about the industry kind of growing up. And then she made her way into multifamily. So I'm excited to have her and her perspective on the show. So let's bring her. But first, again, Evan Happel with Community Boss. We have a great solution for building revenue through your physical spaces, whether that's your parking, your amenities, or mapping. We bring value to your community and some ways of building ancillary income into your community as well. Ties right into Savannah's whole thing, knowing how you're performing at your property level. So great way to capture that as well. So let's bring her to the show. All
Hey,
right,
Evan.
Savannah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and like I said, you guys are scrappy. You're getting things done.
Oh, yeah.
You're how many people in you and one other at this point?
Yeah, full time, yeah. But
Full time
we have a great team
contractors.
of developers
Okay,
and they're all, contractors, but what makes them so great is we have a really tight knit community and everybody's cheering us on Slack and, being like, yeah, we're doing this. And so I think that,
that's awesome.
though they're contractors, they are definitely part of the team. And, to your point of building community, it's all about that, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. And I mean, being that you guys are two plus some contractors, that's very much a way to get going because you got to do what you got to do to get it done. Um, but you guys have been doing a great job of getting the word out there about your company and your solution. Only been on the market for 8 months, is that right?
Yeah, 8 or 9 months there.
Okay. But before that, and jumping into this startup that you got going, you were on the property management side, but in the finance world, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that was your whole career?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've worked finance and IT. So I've overseen technology departments with software support and systems and all of that. And the finance is kind of, there's gray lines of like doing some accounting, doing some finance, but a lot of data analytics. And I, have done, I love the budgeting cycle. So I've done a lot of the budgeting stuff. And I've also just done a lot of data and data analytics. And I even put on my little thing there. I'm a data geek. So
Okay.
I love it. I love telling stories with it. I love getting people excited about it. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's why transitioning to this role has been really exciting for me. And it's almost like kismet, like everything I've done up to this point has led to doing this. And so it's been really fun and exciting.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. Well, we'll definitely dive more into all that in a bit. Before we get there, though, I want to ask you some questions, get things kicked off, let people get on and participate in our show. So, as you know, because I know you've watched a few of these,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a great privilege of meeting you in person at Apartmentalize. You
Yeah.
came to the Boss Brunch, which I love that we got to meet, and I also met Tangi is also there, so that was awesome. So anyways, first question: when it comes to building community, what is the way you go about that when it comes to your personal and or professional life?
Well, I would say that I really love to just ask people questions. I like to learn about people's stories and where they came from. I feel like it excites me to understand the human experience. What got you here? What do you like? What do you don't like? Asking people questions and helping people match. At work as a leader, I've always prided myself on being able to celebrate people's strengths, but also celebrate their weaknesses, right? And be able to say, hey, you guys should match up over here and work as a team together because you have this particular set of strengths and you have this one, which complement each other, and you could kick ass. I don't. Sorry.
But we're live.
Okay.
It is what it is.
Sorry. But I feel like asking those questions and getting people together and celebrating people's stories and their strengths and weaknesses is kind of how I do it. I tend to, defer the attention off of me often. So I'm like, hey, did you know that this person did this thing? Isn't that amazing? And so just bringing people together like that. I love doing that. I love going to NAA and meeting people in person and seeing people. And I love LinkedIn and stuff like that, but I do enjoy meeting people in person and making connections and hearing their story and stuff like that.
So you like learning about people and kind of when you learn about multiple people, bringing them together.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm similar, I guess. I really like, that's kind of the precipice of this show is like learning about people. And I get really excited when I learn that these people would be a great match almost.
Yeah. Like a matchmaker.
Yeah. So it's really fun. And I think it is a great way to help foster building community, getting more people connected. So that's cool.
I love the community that you've built too. It's been super fun to be part of. And, I think that the chats that go through and people sharing the pictures of their dogs or whatever with their boss bling on, and it's super fun.
Yep. And I know you got one from the brunch. So
yeah.
Yes.
I did. I don't. It's around here somewhere. I should have wanted
Okay.
it.
It's all good. Yeah, I have many of them.
I think my kids commandeered them. Honestly, they were so excited when I came home. They're like, "What is this?
Exactly.
I will have this."
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we don't have a hard count, but we probably got rid of 650 to 700 of those necklaces at apartment levels.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So that was fun. I'm all about spreading what I like to call bossness. I like to spread it far and wide. So it's always fun to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. If you were to have somebody over for dinner, kind of the hospitality, something you grew up in doing hospitality through a restaurant for a family business, what would you make them? Do you have anything special that you would make for them?
This is a tough question for me, I guess, because I'm a vegan. And so I have to think really hard if I'm inviting people over about what a meal that's friendly, so to say, that's not the sticks and berries that people assume that I eat.
Sure.
But my husband is a phenomenal cook, and he usually makes lasagna when people come over because it seems to be a friendly dish that everybody and nobody questions like what's in here. Is this real or real food here?
Right. It looks like lasagna.
Yeah, it looks like lasagna. It tastes like lasagna and some good garlic bread. Like who doesn't love garlic bread, right? So,
well, vegan options have come quite a ways.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last probably 10 years, the improvement has, early on, it kind of felt like sticks and berries.
It honestly what I've been vegan for 15 years. So honestly, like back then it was sticks and berries. Like I had a hard time eating food and feeling fulfilled. But nowadays it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's good. You know, whenever there's a certain number of people that take on like becoming vegan or whatever, obviously more companies are like, oh, here's an opportunity. So then we actually get things that taste good.
Yeah. And then you got like Beyond Meat that goes public and just blows up. Everybody's
right.
You know.
I mean, I tend to lean towards like Beyond Meat and stuff sometimes, just to stay away from red meat because it's just not super healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I go to for that. All right. And then final question, when it comes to I'm going to start saying your caffeinated beverage. What is your go-to? Could be coffee, but maybe it's not.
You threw me off, Evan, because I was prepared for the coffee question.
Okay. All right. Well, just say coffee.
Coffee. I guess now it's a two-part answer, right? Because
okay. All right.
I have a very high maintenance and coffee order,
but
it's also not very healthy for me. So I tend to try and stick to like a low calorie energy drink instead. But
this isn't about health.
When I indulge in coffee, I have a high maintenance order that sometimes even confuses the baristas.
Oh my gosh.
It's a double tall 2-pump hazelnut coconut milk latte. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
next time we get together, we can go to Starbucks and you can watch the confusion that ensues when I order coffee.
I'll probably get one also because I'll try it.
Yeah.
I'll go back and listen later to get what that string of ingredients was. I'm pretty basic when it comes to coffee. I like good coffee. A lot of times I just get it from home. I mean,
you drink it black?
I can, but I don't do that every day. But drinking it black, especially if it's a decent roast from, a roaster that's got some flavor built into it instead of just like it's burnt or something. Yeah. I can totally indulge in that. But yeah, I tend to every once in a while add a splash of creamer, but I don't get crazy. Yeah. I don't add like extra sugar or anything like that.
I know. Secretly I am so jealous of black coffee drinkers. Like I am so jealous. I wish I could drink black coffee so hard, but
it's just an acquired thing. You just got to do it, and you find the roasts that are pretty good. Yeah. Like shameless plug, Boss Blend coffee, which you're going to be getting. We do have our own coffee. We give it out to our new customers and our guests here on Boss Talks. So you will be receiving that. You also receive a beautiful Manage Like a Boss mug.
Look at that.
So now you have drinkware because you also have a tumbler, if you took one, I guess, from our Boss brunch. So there you go.
That one has officially been commandeered by my daughter. I came home and I filled it up once, and then she was like, "Ooh, whose water bottle is this?" And I was like, mine." And she goes, "Can I have it?"
I guess so.
Sure, I guess so. Go for it.
Well, it is one of those things that a lot of people, they use the swag as a gift for their kids because it's like, okay, I was gone a week. I had a lot of fun. Here you go.
Yeah. Or like in my case, when I come home and like, "What'd you get me?" And I am like, "Oh, I forgot."
Oh, here.
I think I have something in here somewhere.
Exactly. That's funny. Well, thanks for answering the questions. Now we can jump right in. We can tackle all things Apartment Snapshot, everything to do with what it's like to start something new, because you're really in the early stages of this thing. So it's definitely like, I mean, you're living and breathing it, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
so what's it like? I mean, this is your first time doing a startup, right?
Um, Not really.
Okay.
So I have a decent amount of startup experience.
Oh, okay.
I as you pointed out, I grew up in hospitality. My parents owned a restaurant and we opened that restaurant as a family business. I worked there, my sister worked there. My brother was too young to work, but he took up permanent residence in the beer room. And and so I grew up in that entrepreneurial spirit. You know, we
Okay.
gotta all hands on deck, gotta work
Sure.
together, gotta make this work.
Sure.
And I I got my real estate license when I was 18. I started working for not my family business, but a family business that sold residential real estate. It was a small shop. It was just opened. It was one of my best friend's mom, and helped them out. My internship in college was for a commercial brokerage that did property management as well. And they decided that the best way for them as a startup to get going was to hire interns. So it was me and a couple other college interns who we were like, all right, let's figure it out. Let's make this work. And so we lived in that startup environment for a while there. And I was one of the first employees at Mission Rock
Oh,
Residential.
okay.
So I moved from the sister company, Hamilton Zands, over there. And I remember very distinctly all of the office wasn't ready yet. So everything was being delivered to my apartment. And I moved from San Francisco to Denver for this job. I moved into my apartment. All of my stuff wasn't unpacked yet, and so I had boxes of my stuff unpacked that needed to be unpacked, and the phones were being delivered to my house, the cell phones were being delivered to my house, the like all sorts of equipment because our office wasn't ready yet. So and it was just a handful of us, and we often would reminisce about the times when there was just 5 of us sitting around a conference table. We didn't even sit in our own desks. We all sat at the conference table being like, did you do that? Has anybody called, the state of Utah to set up the business licenses there yet? And we just all, did that. So, I feel like I'm kind of and my husband and I own our own business as well. He runs it, but we started that up in 2018 and have built that up ourselves there. So I feel like I'm when it comes to startup environment, it's kind of where I'm feeling most comfortable, like being
Okay.
scrappy, making it work, trying to figure out how to wear many, many hats and make it work. So yeah.
Nice. Well, that's cool. Yeah, you were mentioning that. So your husband has a marketing firm. He does work for other companies and
Yeah.
gets things going for them.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And also probably pretty helpful for your current environment that you
Oh
have
yeah.
that kind of additional support.
Yep. It's like my Tangi, my VP of sales, she's like, ask our marketing department, because my husband, we work from home and he's right over there. And she's like, ask our marketing department.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a big piece of it and can be really expensive. So that's like really good that you have it kind of built in,
Yeah.
because that tends to be a huge need or a huge reason for needing to raise a lot of money is the marketing aspect. So if you
Mhm.
kind of have that piece built into it, that's good.
Yeah. I try not to take advantage too much because, but it
Well, I
is,
mean, the success of your business is a success for him too. So,
yeah. Yeah.
so from that aspect, it's good. Well, cool. So what kinds of things did you learn early on from like growing up in a hotel, or not a hotel, a restaurant environment, your family business, hospitality, like running a business, like from an early stage? Not a lot of kids have that. I sure didn't. So what did you learn from that specific time of your
Um,
life?
I mean, I guess I learned, pretty early on about you get what you give, right? Like you have to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work to get anything out of it, right?
Mm,
And to that work ethic that I learned of, like, our whole family and our livelihood. Like my stepdad was the chef, my mom was front of the house. I waited tables, I bartended, I managed, you know, at a certain point I took on like inventory, payroll, scheduling. I learned all of it. I helped with doing the bookkeeping. I helped do the taxes at the end of the year, and it was really a family effort. We were all learning every aspect of the business. We just did it together, and we just tried to make it work for the livelihood of our family. And so I think it was, work ethic was a huge thing, but I think I learned at a very young age how to wear multiple hats, the different aspects of running a business. It's not just one thing. And so it was a challenging experience, the restaurant,
sure.
we called it the restaurant. I mean, that's where we lived. It was the
Yeah.
restaurant. Like it was our whole life. Um but I think it was it was a good foundational for me. And I was introduced to management at a very young age. I was managing the restaurant at 18, and I had employees that reported to me, and I had to deal with HR issues and people stealing from the company. And there was a lot learned at a very young age. And I think then going to school for business and finance, I was able to put all those pieces together and then get even more out of my education, because I was able to relate to the aspects of business I was learning about and not just read it in a book.
Yeah. And that's interesting that you were able to get exposure to so much when it came to running a business, because that actually informed you when you went to college, like what you actually wanted to pursue. Like
Yeah.
when I went to college, I was like, not a clue. I don't even, my parents didn't go to college. They were like, a firefighter, worked at a hospital, that kind of stuff. And I didn't have any exposure. So it was like business to me was like, I mean, this seems like a good route, good
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
So when you were doing the taxes and things, were you like, man, I love this. Just kidding.
Taxes, I don't know. I mean, I knew very clearly I didn't want to own a restaurant. That's
Okay.
for sure,
Okay. Okay.
But I did love the leadership components. I love wearing many hats and understanding how the whole picture works, and being able to, um, make something happen. Like
Mm,
understanding how the pieces work, put them together. And that's the part that I really loved. And I think that's what I wanted to pursue when getting a degree in business. I went for accounting at first because I was
yeah.
doing the taxes, and I was like, well,
Right.
I'm good with numbers, right?
Yeah,
And
that's what I
it's
thought. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm good with numbers. But then immediately I was fortunate enough to go to a program where they had what's called an upside down curriculum. So they put you in a program where you're actually doing work, like having an internship your first year in relation to your degree, so you can know pretty right up front, like, is this for me or not?
Mm,
And I went for accounting, and they put me in the accounting program where at tax season we were doing taxes for underprivileged families. Like all of the college students there
okay.
um, would do taxes. And I'm somewhat of an overachiever, and I, I got my very first C in college. I know I'm like a geek over here, but I got my very first C ever in college, and it was in taxation. And I was like, this is not for me. Like, I cannot do this. I'm not a tax person. And so I switched to finance because I was like, what is, of course, the pragmatic in me. I was like, I already have these credits. I don't want to lose them or waste the money I spent on them. So how can I apply them without having to do taxes for the rest of my life? And
Not going to be a
so,
tax accountant, that's for sure. We got that covered. Yeah.
no, I don't want to own a restaurant. I don't want to be a tax accountant. Let's just check the things off I don't want to do.
I don't see how anybody's like excited about taxes, but somebody's making money there.
Somebody is, yeah.
I guess finding the loopholes,
Yeah, maybe
that's fun. Like,
yeah. How can I not pay taxes? I mean, maybe that's the motivation of being a tax accountant, knowing exactly how you can avoid that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that could be it. Not for me either, that's for sure. In accounting in general, I was like not a fan personally, but that was the one area. I had an 8 a.m. accounting class, and I tried, but then I definitely dropped that class because I was like, there's no way I'm doing early morning and accounting together. So I dropped that class and retook it at a different time, like later in college. But oh my gosh, I was like, no thanks. Oh, that was my least favorite. And I actually like numbers. I'm like you. I kind of like data, and I'm fine in a spreadsheet. I'll spend all day slicing and dicing numbers and like trying to make a story out of it, and understand what's happening. But the accounting part, I'm just not a fan personally.
Yeah. That's where I learned very quickly. And I always, whenever I hired somebody to be on my finance team too, I would ask, one of my favorite interview questions was like, what's the difference between accounting and finance? Like, tell me what you think the difference is, right? Because a lot of people think it's the same.
Right.
And I am one of those people who's like, I am not a huge fan of accounting. I can do it. I understand it. I know it. I can make it happen. But when it comes to doing something I enjoy telling the story, right? Just like you said, it's like, I enjoy looking at the numbers, putting them in different arrangements, figuring out how they correlate to each other, figuring out what the story is behind that. And it's a different exercise than accounting,
Yeah. It definitely is.
Especially at 8 a.m.
Yeah. Well, so you got out of college, you got into the finance world, and also IT, right? So
Yep.
you got exposure to technology kind of along the way as well. So jumping into a prop tech environment like you are now, it kind of like fed itself almost.
Yep.
It's like a marriage that was made over time when you were in the multifamily space. So that's really cool. And so what is it about what you guys are providing with Apartment Snapshot? What were you seeing in the industry that was like, we need this? I'm working in finance. I know that there's a gap here. What were you seeing that like just, I guess, lended you to want to start a company?
Well, I'm not the founder, so I was hired as the CEO.
Oh, okay.
And I I think it was what they saw in me that I could bring to the table and add to the idea and bring it to life and make it usable for people in our industry.
Gotcha.
I spent a long time trying to, and we chatted about this a little bit beforehand. I never worked on site, so I am obsessed with figuring out the pain points and the the ups, the downs, the workflows, the experience of working on site, and every moment that I can to talk to somebody on site or to read about a story or digest content it has been part of my mission of trying to figure out how I can know what it's like to work on site without ever having worked on site. And I am a firm believer, because I love data and I have worked in the multifamily industry for many years, and I have been looking at that data. I understand the data. I understand the levers that you can pull to impact performance. I understand the financial performance, the operational performance. I understand the key performance indicators that can tell you whether an asset is doing well or not. But I, in my seat, have very little control over moving the needle on those numbers. I can't make the numbers better, right? I can just understand where the numbers are, and I can tell a story around that. But for a long time, and anyone who's worked for me would know, like, I probably sound like a broken record when I talk about it, but for a long time, I'm trying to come up with ideas or strategies like, can we put this data on a TV in the clubhouse where people can see it? Or can we make it their screensaver on their computer? Or like just any way to try and get them, because you can bribe them with money or bonuses or whatever. You can force them by enforcing, like, this is part of your job description to look at these charts and graphs and whatever. But all of that is temporary, and you can't help, it doesn't help them understand the data or the impact that they have on that data. Right. And so for me, I'm like, how do we build a community around this, a culture around this? How do we help empower people who are not naturally inclined to want to look at data or understand it
which is most people.
Yeah, right? It is.
Yeah.
But like, how do you get people to be excited about something they're not excited about? Like, how do we get Evan Happel to be excited about accounting at 8 a.m.? How do we do that?
That's if you can figure that out.
Like, I mean, that's the challenge here, right? Like, and so I have been evolving this over time, trying to like, how about this idea? That didn't work. How about this idea? That didn't work. How about this? And so when I was approached with this opportunity, and it was like, hey, like, we're trying to get people excited about their performance data, and we're using gamification and leaderboards, and we're, bringing it all in one spot. We got a mobile app. I'm like, this is what I've been trying to do for a long time, And so I have been really excited to be part of this project, because I think it does resonate with the fact that, the majority of multifamily people, team members, not even on site, but the regionals or the VPs or the asset managers or whomever, are not always at their desk, not always at their laptop. They're on the road, they're visiting sites, they're getting packages, they're picking up trash, they're checking out the pool, they're doing work orders, they're around. And so we focus pretty heavily on the fact that it's mobile, right? You can access it anywhere at any time. And we try to make it simple and digestible, and in one spot. You don't have to log into 18 systems to figure out, what does this chart say? What does that chart say? What does that one say? And also to use the gamification to create a community around it, right? And I think, that drives engagement. If what it means to you and how it you're personally, you can see every day, log in and see, am I moving the needle? Yes or no? Right?
And do you guys do it so it's just, is it ideal that say a portfolio is using it? Because do you guys have the ability to like see this community versus this community and like almost make it a game
Yeah.
between sites?
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, it's actually a pretty funny story. We had one of our founders was on site talking, just chatting up the site team or whatever. He was chatting with one of the maintenance team members, and the maintenance team members had no clue that he was the founder of this platform, but he was asking like, oh, just questions about it, and he goes, yeah, well, my unit time just isn't my unit turn time. It just isn't what it needs to be. And he's like, oh, how do you know that? And he goes, well, we have this app, and he shows him the app, and he's like, look, I can't catch the springs. I don't know what they're doing over there. They got superhuman maintenance people or something, but they are turning their units so fast and I can't catch up to them. And he's like, I will get that number one spot. I will. I'll get it.
That's awesome.
So I think it's just, it makes it fun. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, what do you guys do for data?
So, I mean, spreadsheets, they have Evan.
Well, like you guys sell sort of like performance, right? I mean, like,
Yeah. So we have a back
measure
end.
that?
So our system, we've started to build a more robust reporting system on the back end to showcase like generating revenue, and then other aspects of the software that is benefiting a community. But if it was fed into something like your platform where they could track, hey, we just made an additional X number of dollars in additional ancillary income. If they also, I think another opportunity, and I don't know if your thing does this, but educating the site what it means when they make ancillary income that's over and beyond their like just revenue generation from rent or whatever. Like, what kind of value does that bring? Because this is something I've just recently learned more about. And when you have the effect it has on the value of the community, when you have those additional revenue streams that are
Yeah.
kind of on an average basis making X amount of dollars, that can actually have a significant impact on the value of the property when you go to sell or whatever. So, does it kind of showcase that or like try to explain that?
I think, well, I mean, it's an interesting concept because we have primarily focused so far on the client's need to show the individual KPIs for team performance. So like maintenance KPIs, leasing KPIs, those sort of things. But we do have a whole section that is about asset performance and how the asset is performing. And I think that it's really important because part of helping the team members be accountable to their performance and the data and the performance of the properties is helping them think like owners. They're running multi-million-dollar assets, and to your point, understanding how certain levers like that can increase the overall performance of the asset, meaning increasing the value of that asset, and in turn helping increase the value of that asset to the company, and how that translates to company profits and performance helps them to think like owners and helps them to feel like they're part of a bigger picture, and their performance has a positive domino effect to snowball into a bigger performance and growing the company. And therefore, in turn, means if the company grows, there's more opportunity for me to grow within the company, And
Yeah.
I think that that's a really great point of trying to identify ways. We've actually been approached by several vendors of like, can we use your platform to show ROI, right? Like of our stuff. But I think
Yeah.
it's been interesting because we are customizing to the needs of our clients. And so understanding every client that we onboard is like has new needs or new ideas for what brings value has been also kind of a an interesting experience to evolve where we're going and what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean that kicks off a lot of ideas in my head of like, yeah, we have reporting that we're building, but it's not as fun as yours. And I think that as we get more and more portfolios that are using our software, because there's a handful that it's like that where we have a portfolio that's using our software across the board. But it's a lot of like onesie twosies across a bunch of different companies. I mean, we're in 1,000 plus unit or communities, but there's only a handful that it's a good number in a specific company, right? There's
Yeah.
just so many companies and so many.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I think your guys' platform, even at one site, could be interesting, even for our platform and maybe other vendors or suppliers that are helping generate revenue as well, to help sell or tell the story to the manager and then to their boss, how they're doing and how they're adding value by having these here.
Yeah.
Because that could benefit my company and then also the manager by helping them tell the story.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think is really empowering for people to have that information in their pocket, like be able to know real time how they're impacting or what things they could do to impact performance.
Yeah, because honestly, it could
Value.
help them say to their manager, I think I've added a lot of value to this community by doing
Yeah.
these things, and I think I should get a raise.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's all right here.
Right. Yeah. So I think I'm worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's also could be a big value for people on site, help them have a selling story for themselves. For sure. But yeah, building that data-centric culture where people are excited about it, that they actually want to dive into it and they understand it. That's definitely, I think, a noble thing you guys are doing, because there are so many people. I mean, I'm somebody that I can dive into it and I can figure it out and I can figure out how to use a spreadsheet or how to do a formula or whatever. But I'm realizing slowly, apparently, because I'm almost 40 and I'm a slow learner, apparently, because I'll put together data and then I'll just like give it to people. And then I'm like, why aren't they doing anything with it? It's because they don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, also you have to too, is like, you have to understand is like, have you ever tried to pick up a spreadsheet that somebody else was working on? And then you're like,
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's just, no, just
look
take
at
it over, do it. Yeah. Like I showed you like this, and you're like,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make sense to me, and it's not because you
Yeah.
don't get the numbers, it's because you didn't build it, right? Like you don't
Right.
know what's behind it. You don't have, everyone has different synapses paths,
Yeah.
and so it's like when you build these dashboards and spreadsheets and all of these things, and then you hand it over to someone, you're like, do something with it. And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going with this. You got to put the context around it. You got to put some sort of connection in there and help them feel connected to that data,
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of the comments, I'll actually share it. They seem pretty excited about this whole idea of creating a challenge and competition around the data. And they're definitely, what do you get when you win? Like, what's the payout? What's the
Yeah.
prize? So
Mhm.
what do sites do when it comes to that to kind of make it more fun? It's like, oh, you win some kind of something, a gift card or whatever. Like, what have you seen?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends. Sometimes, it's like this, that we've done a lot of research on the, what incentivizes people and the psychology behind gamification,
Yeah.
and everyone's incentivized a little bit differently. You know, as some people are incentivized by money, some people are incentivized by kudos or praise or just, you know, positive recognition. Some people are motivated through that competition. You know, they just want to be the top. They just want to be better. They just want to be, you know, even if it's just personal best, like they just want to hit their personal best. Like I've done, like last month I was here, this month I'm here, I've grown this much, and that does it, you know. But we are working with several providers to introduce a reward store into the app so that people can, companies could choose to have points associated to certain milestones or achievements within the app. And then the team members could redeem those points for rewards in the store, which is how we're trying to solve for that, that motivation of money or things. They could get gift cards, or they could get, you know, experiences or cookies, whatever it is that they want.
Okay.
But also we are releasing our trophy room in the pretty shortly, and that is where the companies can create custom awards and badges for their team members, and that is like a status incentivization where they can, you know, even if it's something as simple as loyalty badges, like your 1-year badge, your 5-year badge, your 10-year badge, you know, the longer you're with the company, you get those different awards in your trophy room. Or it's something that is driven by performance, like, you know, you got $1 million in leases in your time here, and you get a badge for that. And having those commemorative things where people can see their achievements is another piece of that.
Nice. Well, that's fun. Well, and I'm sure over time you'll see like how people respond to things too. And again, 8 months into it, you guys are
Yeah.
learning what people respond to.
And it's fun.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, but I think you have a good base of what you're doing, and I think it's a good idea to try and make this whole topic more fun, because otherwise it's an avoided thing. And then people don't know, they don't have confidence in talking about it, and then they just kind of avoid it. They don't know actually how well they're performing or how well their community's performing. So yeah, I think that's really great that this type of thing is being made. And like, because I think it also highlights that they're not in the minority. Each person, they probably feel like, I'm probably the only one that doesn't understand. And
Yeah,
the truth
exactly.
is, nope,
No.
you're in the majority.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, you know, is like, you know, I think you and I are similar in that way. It's about community, you know. If you put out there the community and it's like a safe space for people to be like, I have no clue. I have no idea. Or to just feel like they have a pool of resources that if they don't know, they can be like, does anybody get this? You know, is anybody understanding? And to build that community and have a shared story is also like, what do you see in the data? What do you see in the data? Not just someone in corporate office telling you what you should see with the data,
Right.
but empowering them to say, this is what I see. Is anybody
Yeah.
else seeing that? You know?
Well,
And
and appropriately celebrating the things that matter,
yeah.
and then showing what is a positive when it comes to that. And maybe is there individual goals and then also comparative, like you are doing so good against everybody else, but then for yourself setting a goal.
Yeah. We have the team goals. We don't have personal goals, which
Okay.
is kind of bridging into some of the challenges of data to begin with. Is getting that data associated to a person is very difficult in
Sure.
our industry. But we have team goals which are just benchmarking you against what the, overall expectation is. And we have the leaderboards, which is benchmarking you against other properties or teams in your company. So where do you stand? And then with the personal badges, those are personal to you, so you can achieve them based on your personal performance, or however the company sets them up. And you can also kind of show, it's not just about being the number one, but like I said, it's, it can be demotivating because obviously there's only one number one, right? But to also recognize and praise, hey, you started at position 50 something, now you're at 20. Like, wow, you jumped that much. Like, way to go,
Right.
Instead of being like, you're only at 20, why aren't you at number one? It's like, but look how far you've come,
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's one of those things where in the wrong hands, we'll say, like it could be used as a negative, a demotivator, because if they focus only on the negative, I guess, in the sense of what you're not doing,
Yeah.
instead of like where you're improving, like, because it doesn't, yeah, it's definitely demotivating to just constantly be said, oh, well, you're still not hitting it. Like,
Again.
yeah, you're doing, yeah, terrible. Yeah. No, and actually I'm not sure if you're seeing the comments, so I'll
Yeah, I
share.
am.
Okay,
I
so
keep getting distracted by them,
I
actually. Yeah.
know, I know. So Jennifer Bronner, she had a good point when it comes to asking people how they're motivated. And then when they hit that KPI or whatever, then actually giving them and then rewarding them with when they hit that achievement, and rewarding them in the way that actually speaks as a reward. Because
Yeah.
like some people, like I think a lot of times we assume everybody's money motivated,
Yeah.
and not everybody. I mean, everybody I'm sure would be fine getting an extra chunk of money, but like but
No, I'll pass, thanks.
yeah, I'll pass, you keep that. But at the same time, like that might be not be the biggest thing for everybody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm kind of in that boat. Like money is important, it's necessary, I need it to live, support my family, all the things, but it's not like the thing that drives me.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm not striving for more money. Like that's
Yeah.
not my way. So
Yeah. But I think, like, it's a good point, because I think, like, sometimes people, a simple thank you from, someone that they, I used to do this thing with my team called Thankful Thursdays, where I asked them to, and I was like, I'm not going to check in on you, I'm not going to make you do it, but every Thursday, if you could just remember to reach out to anyone, just a personal email, and just say thank you for something that they did, like, thank you for, even if it's just thank you for doing your job and how that helps me do my job, or thank you for whatever. And I participated. I would send out my Thankful Thursday emails every Thursday. And it was years later, after I left a company, and I someone reached out. I went out to, dinner with them, and they were like, I still have your Thankful Thursday email, and I look at it all the time whenever I'm having a bad day. It meant so much to me to get that email. And I just, I like, those little things you don't realize, like how you can appreciate someone or show someone that they're valued without money.
right.
It didn't cost me anything to do that. They weren't on my team. They were part of a different team. And I just reached out and said, thank you so much for blah, 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 blah. And years later, they still have it, and it's still helping them feel appreciated.
Right.
And I think that's important too, is like sometimes just noticing, hey, like you're not number one, but you went up 12 spots in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's huge. That's huge.
Right.
Way to
Right.
go, you know?
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. And it is important that we ask those questions and know how people are motivated because, but yeah, what you were doing that obviously really spoke to them. Um, so knowing ahead of time how each person is motivated, we
Mhm.
know what kind of effect like those types of actions have on people.
Yeah.
So that's really great. All right. So as we're wrapping up here, I just want to hit on kind of these last two things. You had challenges in multifamily and kind of the future of prop tech and multifamily. I think they could kind of go hand in hand a little bit. So what is it, I guess you were trying to get at with those 2 points? What are
Mhm.
you seeing? And yeah, what's your perspective?
Well, I think since we're low on time, I'll keep it brief. But I think, there's a huge issue, and I at NAA there was that whole free the data event. I
Yeah,
wish I was there. I didn't know it was
I know. I didn't
happening.
know either. And
I,
honestly, I was getting ready for boss
yeah,
lunch.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But I was so bummed I missed it, and I watched a few like videos on LinkedIn about it and stuff. But I do think, we have a data problem in our industry, and I think that prop tech companies are starting to kind of come together and try to figure out, but we need to figure out not only how to free the data and be able to connect data so that companies can freely build their tech stack without the a level of work and hardship that it takes to build.
to integrate.
Yeah, to
Hmm.
integrate and to build a tech stack. But also our data is so dirty. It is really dirty. Like, it's so difficult to extract the data that you actually need. And that's been part of our journey too, is like, we connect the data, we present the data, and we're putting it in the hands of people who are feeling accountable to that data.
Hmm.
And they're like, wait, this is wrong. There's no way. There's no way that that's right. And so now we're trying to figure out, ooh, where is it wrong? What system is it wrong in? How does this connect to that? And it's just a huge mess. And I think when it comes to, which feeds into like the future, right? It's like we need to figure out a way to make our data better because it is vitally important to the success of, using that data to drive performance, to help with expanding the options of prop tech, and with
Hmm.
being able to leverage, it's like single stack or not, right? And the benefit of single stack is like you're in one platform, one place, so all of the data is shared. But even sometimes within there, it's not really.
Yeah.
Or you use the best of the best in all of these different things, but then none
But
of your
then
data
they're
connects.
siloed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I think that's a big issue that we have. And then, secondly, I think is just the experience culture, right? We've been focused so much on resident experience. We don't just sell apartments, we sell an experience. And when it's the same for your teams, your employees, right? It's, with the great resignation and all of that, and with COVID and with remote work or in-person work and all of this stuff, it's really been a focus to figure out um, how to create an experience while still driving performance, right? You want everyone to feel happy and safe and included, and to build a culture that is inclusive and motivating and
Hmm.
engaging and promotes loyalty. But you also want to have them perform, and how do you balance that? But I think that when it comes to the future of prop tech, I really think that more companies, more prop tech companies will hopefully, band together and help solve the data issue, help focus on making a positive experience for the end user, not just solving a problem they have, but focusing on their experience and how they're interacting, what's their workflow, how to integrate with their natural workflow, not disrupt their workflow that they have. And like to your point with Community Boss, it's like, how can Community Boss help you increase the value of your asset? Like give them ownership over that, like,
Right.
and how we're helping you, not just what we're selling you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and not just you're seeing the value in these solutions and them more easily working together. I think you're right. Like, honestly, there needs to be, and I always don't know how to say it right, a Zapier, however you say it, for multifamily, where it takes the property management softwares and it's now the hub, and then other people then can connect to it and be able to like do it easier, and be that kind of go-to hub. So somebody start that. Go ahead, do it,
Right.
please. Make integration easy. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, we did have one last comment from Jennifer. So on-site property management is always very busy. Having accessible data could truly make such a huge difference for teams who are constantly going. It could also show the big picture progress that we don't always see when dealing with the day-to-day. Absolutely.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah,
She used
I
to work
think.
with me.
Oh,
You're
really?
amazing.
Okay.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah. I've seen her pop in and out at some of the episodes in the past, so she's been on before, but glad she's here to support you for sure. All right. Well, I'm just so thankful that you jumped on with me. I'm glad that I got to meet you beforehand in Atlanta, which was fantastic. And I hope to continue to stay connected, and hopefully some way or another our companies can work together or just help to improve this data mess we have in multifamily.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Evan. This is so much fun. So much fun.
Good. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. And just like Savannah has enjoyed it, and those in the past have enjoyed it, you too can enjoy it. And I truly mean that. I want you to be on Boss Talks. So reach out to me, be a guest in the future. Now, you might have to wait a while because I am booked through the end of the year. But nonetheless, reach out to me. I'd love to hear your story, your passions, your ways of leadership, and the ways you've contributed positively to our industry in multifamily. So if you have something to share or have an interesting story to tell, I want others to hear it from you and learn more about you. So take the opportunity and jump right in. This has been Boss Talks episode 53. And until next week, Wednesday, when we do this again, live here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, this has been fantastic. And thanks again for watching.